Welcome, everyone, and a huge shout out to all the Genesis International College students tuning in. I'm absolutely thrilled to take you through this crucial explainer today. We're zeroing in on the final and honestly the most important phase of your formwork training. Topic 4, cleanup. So let's just dive right in because mastering this exact module, that's what separates an amateur from a true master carpenter. Okay, so here's the game plan. We're breaking this down into 3 core competencies. Number 1, clearing site hazards. Number 2, managing spills and washouts. And number 3, tool inspection and maintenance. Let's get to it. You know, it's super easy to fall into this rookie trap. You think, hey, the concrete is poured, the forms are stripped, it must be knockoff time, right? But is the job really done? Absolutely not. The reality is, construction doesn't just end with the build itself. As you'll see today, the cleanup phase is legally mandated, it's technically demanding, and it is literally life-saving. Your duty of care extends way past the moment your specific tasks are finished. Section 1. Clearing site hazards, protecting the next shift. We're going to talk about transitioning the site from a heavy formwork zone into a safe space for those follow-on trades coming right in behind you. Let's kick this off by looking at the SWAMP, or the Site Waste Management Plan. You can really think of this as the legal cornerstone for this whole module, and honestly, your overarching guide out there on the site. In Australia, contractors are legally required to follow this framework. And it's not just to keep things looking tidy, It's to systematically manage waste segregation, carefully separate timber from metal, and drastically cut down on what ends up rotting in a landfill. Now, the primary goal of your cleanup is getting rid of what we call latent hazards. These are those sneaky physical dangers that just sort of lurk on the site after the main crew packs up. We're talking about your loose timber offcuts, discarded steel strapping, scattered nails and screws, or even heavy waterlogged debris. If left unchecked, these items are literally the leading causes of severe puncture wounds and nasty trip and fall injuries for the folks clocking in for the next shift. We absolutely have to talk about a very specific, very serious hazard right now: treated timber. Under no circumstances should you ever burn treated materials like CCA or LOSP on the site. Seriously, just don't do it. Burning this stuff releases highly toxic chemicals straight into the air and leaves it lingering in the ash. Environmental laws in Australia take this incredibly seriously. This type of waste has to go to a licensed landfill, period. Otherwise, you're looking at massive fines and some severe environmental fallout. So how do we tackle this? Well, your task list for site clearing needs to be highly structured. Think about removing trip hazards, clearing all offcuts from those transit zones. That protects high-visibility trades who are constantly moving heavy equipment around. Then you've got sharp object control. Collecting all those nails and screws into lidded buckets totally eliminates risks like tetanus or footwear penetration. And keeping your access and egress points 100% unobstructed, that's not just a convenience thing. That's a critical requirement for emergency evacuations and, heaven forbid, ambulance access. Finally, properly staging reusable materials in leveled, designated zones drastically reduces double handling and protects the subbase. It just shows a true professional duty of care. But, hey, while you're busy clearing all the stuff, you have to protect yourself too. You must strictly adhere to the WHS Code of Practice for hazardous manual tasks. Debris like waterlogged timber offcuts or buckets jammed full of steel fixings, they can be surprisingly heavy. So remember the basics. Maintain a neutral back, bend those knees, and definitely coordinate a team lift for the bulky waste. Oh, and use your mechanical aids. Grab a wheelbarrow or a trolley to minimize manual carrying. Protecting your own spine from musculoskeletal injuries is just as crucial as protecting the site. All right, Section 2, managing spills and washouts, the invisible threats. We're pivoting now from solid debris to handling liquid hazards. And let me tell you, these pose a massive risk to the environment. When we say liquid hazards, what we're primarily talking about is concrete slurry and formwork release agents. These aren't just messy annoyances on the job. They're actually classified as serious environmental contaminants. If tool wash water or chemical residues are allowed to just run off and enter stormwater drains, they can completely devastate our local waterways. And I mean devastate. The fines for this are astronomically high, and the ecological damage, it's basically catastrophic. Now, navigating all this complex environmental legislation really comes down to 4 simple, sequential actions. What you're seeing here is your absolute strict protocol for any chemical or slurry issue that pops up on site. Let's break down how we actually execute that protocol. Step 1 is contain. Always, always use a contained system like bunded wash mats or PVC trays. Never clean your tools over bare soil. Step 2 is identify. You want to proactively check your storage areas for things like leaking hydraulic oil or release agents. Step 3 is apply. If a spill does happen, you jump on it.
Neutralize it using sand, sawdust, or commercial absorbent pads from your site's spill kit. And finally, step 4 is dispose. Listen closely on this one. Those contaminated absorbents absolutely cannot go into the general skip. They must be placed strictly into dedicated hazardous waste bags.
Which brings us to Section 3, Tool Inspection and Maintenance, securing the gear. So now that the macro-level site is clear and environmentally locked down, we need to zoom in on the micro level. It's time to inspect our individual tools before we even think about packing them away. I want you guys to really absorb this quote straight from your learner guide. Once a red flag is spotted, the carpenter has a professional and legal obligation to prevent the equipment from remaining in service. That is powerful stuff. Actively identifying and documenting tool defects during the packaway phase, it isn't just a friendly recommendation. It's a critical, fundamental component of your professional site safety responsibilities.
The whole point here is knowing exactly how to react to everyday scenarios you'll face on site. Notice a missing or pinned guard on a saw? Stop, tag it out, and do not use it under any circumstances. Spot a frayed electrical lead or damaged plug? Same deal. Stop and tag it out. It needs to be completely removed from service until a licensed electrician can repair it. Got a blunt blade or chisel? Replace it if you're authorized to. Otherwise, tag and report it. Even something like a loose handle or cracked housing is a huge deal because the tool could literally break apart during operation. You have to intercept these faults before the next person unknowingly picks up that broken tool.
But of course, just finding a fault is really only half the job, right? Communicating it is the other half. Whenever you spot one of those defects, it instantly triggers a mandatory reporting workflow. This procedure relies on 3 absolute non-negotiable actions. First, isolate the tool. Disconnect it from power or air immediately. Second, tag the equipment. You want to attach a highly visible Do Not Use tag and make sure you write down the date and the specific fault details. Third, report the defect. Notify your supervisor and actually record it in the site's tool log. Doing all 3 guarantees the hazard is communicated and gets the ball rolling on repairs. To wrap things up, I want to leave you with one final provocative question. Does your cleanup standard reflect the quality of the tradesperson you actually want to become? For all of you Genesis students out there striving for excellence, remember this: cleanup is never just a chore. It's the ultimate hallmark of a true construction professional, someone who genuinely values safety, the environment, and their team. You've got to take pride in how you finish a job, because honestly, it speaks volumes about how you build. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I can't wait to see you apply these master-level skills on site. Stay safe out there.